Hi, let us understand about Docker Swarm Stack. As we discussed already, Docker Swarm Stack is list of services and the definition on how the service should work and the details about the task within the services. Whenever I am deploying any application within any enterprise, it's going to have n number of services together and that needs to get deployed in a single go. Say for example, if I have a web application, it may have a front layer as well as a middle layer and a database. I wanted to deploy everything as a whole in a single go. For that, Swarm Stack will be much easier to deploy them and Docker Swarm supports that very well. I'm going to use the compose file which is in the YAML format. Let me go ahead and use the sample provided as a part of the Docker. Within the Docker, I do have the example voting application. This is having the Docker Stack YAML file. And Docker Stack YAML file, it's going to have the list of services. We are not going to discuss the syntax about the Docker Stack as it will be developed by the developers. And once if I have the stack, I can use the stack and deploy the application. Let's have a quick overview. Here, it's very easy to understand. I am going to have a number of services like Redis, DB, Vote, Result, Worker, and Visualizer. If I look into the Redis, it's having the details as what is the image to use and what network to use. And while it is getting deployed, how many replica to use, details about the update configuration, restart policy, all the details I will be adding it against the service. The same way, I do have the details for the database service as well, what image to use and how the volume should get attached for that particular service, what network to use. So all the details will be available. Once if I have the details about the entire application as a stack file, I can use this to deploy the stack. Let me go ahead and clone this. Let me check the nodes available before getting started. So I do have these nodes. Let me go ahead and use the Git and clone this particular project. Let me get into the folder, example voting app. Here I do have the file dockerstack.yaml. It's a YAML file, the same file that we saw now. Now I'm going to use this particular file and deploy the stack. So I'll use the command docker stack deploy compose file. That is the YAML file to use, docker stack.yaml, and name of the stack to get deployed. So automatically it will prioritize what needs to get created first. Basically it's going to create the network, create the services and deploy the services. Now I should be in a position to check the status about this particular services. So here I can see the list of services available and automatically all the services it will get deployed. Now for understanding purpose, I can get into this visualizer and see the details about the containers that got deployed. Let me get into the browser and access the host name and the port 8080. That's where an application called Visualizer that got deployed. That's going to provide the visualization about this specific application. That is, what are all the nodes available? Basically, we had a manager ending with the IP address 113 and we had the workers ending with the IP address 204 and 234. So it's going to have the list of containers that got deployed. That is the vote result, vote underscore vote, and vote visualizer. So all the containers that got deployed and it is up and running. So the biggest advantage of using the stack is the entire application can be deployed in a single go and I can do the maintenance. In case if I wanted to see the details about the specific stack, I can use the command docker stack services vote. So it's going to provide the details about the services available for this specific stack vote. In case if I wanted to remove the stack, I can go ahead and remove them. The same way how I can redeploy the entire service, I can redeploy the entire stack, automatically it would get updated and I can have the application up and running and do the deployment of the stack as well. Now as a part of cleanup, let me go ahead and remove the stack, docker stack rm vote. So automatically it will remove all the services, network, the entire thing would get cleaned up and I will not have any services up and running within this specific Swarm cluster. So this is the biggest advantage of using the stack. Stack is nothing but a group of services and that will be provided as a YAML file and that's the responsibility of the developer to provide the entire YAML file and get that ready. And it is the responsibility of the developer to create the YAML file and define what are all the services to use and what configuration to use. And in a single command, the entire stack can be deployed into the Swarm cluster.